Hello, welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. It's not easy to kick a bad habit like smoking or eating too much sugar, but it is also a struggle to incorporate healthy habits like exercise, meditation into our daily lives. So here to help us figure this out is Gretchen Rubin. She's the author of Better Than Before, Mastering the Habits of Our Everyday Lives. Thank you for coming. And you are cranking books left and right. Because, you know, everybody knows your first, one of the great books that you had, the Happiness Project, right,
Yes.
which was a bestseller.
Yeah.
So why pick now a habit-changing type of book?
Well, you know, for years I was reading and researching and talking to people about happiness. And what I found is that a lot of times when I talked to people about a big change they'd made, either they'd done something that really boosted their happiness or there was some big challenge that they were struggling with in their happiness, it often came down to something that at its core was a habit. Like they knew that if they got more sleep, they'd be happier and healthier and more productive. But somehow they weren't able to do it. So it wasn't that they didn't know how to get happier, but they weren't able to do the...
So in order to navigate the happy mind,
yes,
you have to either give something up or bring something in.
Yeah, how do you make that a reality?
Now, one of the things that you say in your book is that in order to achieve that, you have to know yourself.
Yes.
And so how do we figure that out? Because, you know, I think what a lot of people would say, well, I don't know myself.
Yeah.
I've been myself many times in different times of my life.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of times when we read about habits, we think like, oh, well, this is what Steve Jobs does, or this is what Jane Austen did, or this is what worked really well for my sister. Or you read an expert who says, do it first thing in the morning, or start small, or whatever it is. But you really have to know what works for you. And if you're a night person, well, getting up early to go for a run is not going to work for you. It's just not true to who you are. Or if you're a person who gives up a strong temptation more easily if you give it up altogether than if you try to have just a little bit, well, then you need to know that about yourself, too, that if you're trying to resist something that's really tempting to you, it's easier for you to just give it up altogether.
Now, in the intro, I mentioned that, you know, giving up something like smoking and or whatever, excessive drinking, whatever have you, that is bad for you, okay, you know, that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. And then bringing in healthy habits. Yeah. But sometimes, you know, like exercise, eating better, or whatever, or meditation, things that you know are important to your well-being, they're very hard.
Yes.
Why is that?
You know, I think there's a lot of different things. Part of it, it's like, it's what we want right this minute versus what we want over the long term. Part of it is like our identity. Like if your identity is that you're this sort of outlaw person, then giving up smoking might require you to change that identity. Or if you always pride yourself on being a workaholic, what is it going to mean for you to try to get off email at 7 o'clock every night? You're going to have to change your identity. And then also part of it is that we are so good at coming up with justifications. Like on the spur of the moment, we can generate so many good excuses for why just right now you know, generally we're going to keep our good habit, but not right this minute because there's some special...
You postpone it.
You come up with an excuse in the moment.
Down the road.
Yes.
Now, let's go over some ideas as a way to change habits. You have several, like pairing, for instance.
Pairing, very simple, very effective. And that's the two things always go together. If you want to watch reality TV, you're going to be on the treadmill. You only do those two things together. It's not a reward. It's just that you only do them together. When I was in college, I had a rule that I could only shower on a day that I exercised. So, you know, at a certain point, you're like, you got to exercise and
take a shower.
Yeah.
Now, the other one is abstaining.
So abstaining is that for some people dealing with a strong temptation, it's easier to have nothing. It's easy. My sister's kryptonite is French fries. It's easier for her to have no French fries than a few French fries. Or like a lot of people, you know, Candy Crush or some kind of technology. They can't do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, for me, it's a glass of wine. I can't just have one.
Well, a friend of mine said I can have no wine or I can have 4 glasses of wine. No one glass of wine. So, but for some people, they do better when they have it a little bit. So you have to know yourself what works for you.
Monitoring?
This is like a magical thing. If we pay attention to how much we do something, even if we're not consciously trying to change our behavior, we tend to change it even without realizing it.
How do we do that? Through, let's say, a diary?
A food journal works really, really well for people who are trying to eat more healthfully. A lot of these trackers now, they keep track of your steps, or like go to a gym where they keep count of how many times you go to the gym, so at the end of the year you know. Any kind of attempt to monitor.
Convenience.
We are so influenced by just how easy it is to do something. So if there's something that you want yourself to do, make it as easy as possible. And if there's something you don't want yourself to do, make it as inconvenient as possible. Even for things like when they look at how much food people take from a salad bar, if there's tongs, people take less than if there's a spoon. So just sheer convenience makes a huge difference.
I like that. Make it hard.
Make it hard to do wrong.
And then safeguards.
So safeguards is when you're thinking about, like, when am I likely to screw up? Like, really try to anticipate what are going to be the stumbling blocks and ask yourself, well, if I go to a party, then this is how I'm going to eat. Or if it's raining tomorrow, then this is how I'm going to get my exercise. Or if I travel, then this is how I'm going to get my daily meditation in. Really think about it in advance, set your plans, decide how you're going to react in advance. By putting in a safeguard, then you keep that good habit safe as you go forward.
But, you know, again, one of the things they say in your book, you have to be mindful of all of this, right? So you have to keep it in the present tense, I would imagine.
Yes, and this is sort of the paradox of habits, is that they're powerful because they allow us to act mindlessly. Like, things just run automatic. We're not debating whether to go to the gym. We just get up and go. But we have to mindfully shape those habits. So it's mindfully, then mindlessly. So, but first you have to think about, what do I want those habits to be? How am I going to create those habits? How am I going to keep them strong?
And of course, all of that is in this great new book that she has, which is available everywhere?
Yes.
And where can people get more information?
I have a website, GretchenRubin.com, where there's a ton of information about habits and the strategies you can use. And in the resources section, there's all kinds of downloads and sheets to help people figure out.
And how to be happy, too.
And how to be happy, too.
Which is the core of everything. Giving up the bad habits, bring in the good habits, be happy.
It's all to be happy.
And that's it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And if you have any health questions, you can send them here at Fox at drmanny@foxnews.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.